Hello, and welcome to the channel Tech and More. So, as part of the ongoing series that is Salesforce Concepts to Know as a Salesforce Tester, welcome to one more video wherein we'll be talking about Salesforce automation or the types of automations that there are in Salesforce. And since it is a huge topic, so I have divided all the topics or all the content into two parts, part one and part two. So this video pertains to part one of Salesforce automation. So before starting, I would, as I say in every video, just to make sure that everybody who watching these videos is in sync, go to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Why I'm saying this, because I have curated this entire course or this entire series of Salesforce concepts to know as a Salesforce tester, and this playlist can be your one-stop destination if you want to learn Salesforce domain as a QA professional and you want to switch to it, right? So start from the very first video and then go along, and I am sure, I guarantee you that you will know all the things that you need to know for Salesforce as a tester, and you will be able to crack interviews as well. So without wasting any more time, let's go on to the part one of Salesforce automation. The first topic is going to be workflow rules, right? So workflow rules, before explaining, I would tell you that as per the current time when this video is getting created, the workflow rules have been marked obsolete by Salesforce because that has been replaced by lightning flows, and I'll be creating a separate video for lightning flows because it is sort of a demanding and a lengthy video, I mean lengthy content, which will demand its own video. But why am I telling you workflow rules? Because the existing workflow rules, which are there in the orgs or the projects already, they are being used, and you should know what is a workflow rule because those lightning flows have been derived from workflow rules, right? And workflow rules gives you a very good insight into the Salesforce automation paths. So let's go ahead and let's see the workflow rules in action. So workflow rule is sort of an automation with the help of which you can automate a couple of processes. And for demo purposes, I have already created a workflow rule. I went into the setup, of course, in the devog and then in the setup. And for those of you who do not know what a devog is, please refer to the playlist. Therein you will find all the details on what is a devog and how to create one. But then again, coming back to the workflow rule that I've already curated or already designed, this is what we have configured so far. So how to read it? This is the rule name, right? This is the rule criteria. So the rule criteria basically says that contact record, that is, this workflow rule has been designed on the contact record, right? And it says if the monthly salary is greater than the amount that you can see on the screen right now, if that is the case, in that case, you trigger this workflow rule. That is, you trigger this automation or you do the necessary actions, right? So it is basically as simple as if this happens, then do this, right? If this happens, then do this action, right? So these are the two actions that we have listed here. So it says if the monthly salary crosses this amount, then do two things. Number one, send an email to that contact telling them that you have been promoted to a platinum customer. Consider this as a practical situation wherein you're working for a bank and you're using the Salesforce org of that bank. You're an employee there, and if a customer crosses that particular salary bar, you transfer them to the platinum customer format, which is very common in banks, right? Same thing, but instead of doing that manually every time, we are setting up the automations with the help of which these emails will be sent automatically to that customer, right? Number two, what will happen is that the field type will get updated to platinum. That is what the working is. Now let's go ahead and let's see the actual working, right? Herein we are in the contact object, and let me open any random record for that matter, and I'll search for monthly salary field, right? And I'll make it a value of more than 150000, which is basically 1,50,000, right? So I'll make it 2,30,000. Rather, let's do it 2,300, 23,000, 2,30,000, right? And I'll save it. But before saving it, since it is going to send an email, right? So I have to make sure that an email is also populated, which is right. So I'll save the record. And do you see this platinum field getting updated to true? So the second action that was supposed to happen has already happened. Now, let's go on and let's see the first action, whether the first action has happened or not, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll go to that email ID per se and I'll see. So see, this email has been triggered which says, "Hi, greetings of the day. On basis of your monthly salary credited, you have been moved to platinum customer. Upgrade in credit card limit," and so on, right? So these two actions happened when this particular condition was true. That is, the salary became greater than 1,50,000. This as simple as that. The only job of automations is to make sure that the tasks that are repetitive should happen automatically, right? And one of that automation type in Salesforce is basically workflow rules. That's all. That is what you need to know about workflow rules. You will never be asked to configure one as a tester, but you should know the working of it. You should know how to execute them when the stories are given to you, right? Now, let's go to the second sort of automation, which is web to case automation. Now, as the name suggests already, it means that if a form, and we configure the form from the Salesforce only, when a form is presented on the internet somewhere randomly, and when you fill up that form and you submit it, a case corresponding to that form is created in Salesforce. As simple as that, right? So I'll show it to you. Now, what we'll do is that we will go ahead and open the form that we have curated or generated. So, see, instead of creating cases from Salesforce directly, what we're doing is that we have this functionality in Salesforce with the help of which we can generate these forms. I know this looks like a very amateur and a very standard form, but this is just for demo purposes. That is why I just want you to see the actual functionality, nothing more than that, right? So, uh, this is the form, and you'll see whatever details I input here and whatever details I input here and submit, that similar case will get created in Salesforce. So this is for situations when, let's suppose, you have to raise a complaint and you're not allowed to access the Salesforce org, which you will not be, because that is only accessible to the employees, not to the customers, right? So the customer will get this form via email. You fill up this form and the case will be created in Salesforce, right? So let's go ahead and let's see how web2case works, right? So what I'll do is I'll put in the email ID as reach tech and more at the rate of gmail.com, and I'll put the subject as test queue. Why am I putting this at test queue? This is something that you'll realize in the next topic that we discuss. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll submit it, and let me go ahead and let me search for the case in the org. So test queue. I'll search with the subject name, and do you see? I find this case, which is test queue, right? Got it. And if you see it closely, the date of creation is also there, right? Now, let me go ahead and let me. Mhm. Okay, got it. This is the case. See, I did input the email ID. It is there, right? So this is how, and I did input the subject, so it is there, right? So this is how, when a customer submits a form from that web form basically, and submits it, a case or a clone of that case automatically gets created in Salesforce. That is what Web2 case does. That is, it allows you to spread out your forms in the market, in public. People will submit the cases, and a clone of them will automatically get created in your dev org. It is as simple as that, right? Then, auto response rules. Now, auto response rules basically, as the name suggests, it means that when a particular action has happened, a particular automation will trigger without any manual intervention, right? So, let us go into the setup ones, and let me search for auto response rules relating to case, right? Okay, then I'll click here, and I have an auto response rule already set up that says that if the mm, case type equals to mechanical, then you send out an email, right? Now, there is also one more auto response setup, right? That says that the uh, if the subject if the subject is test queue, right, as we did in while filling up the form, if you remember, right? We did input the subject as test queue. So in that case, what you do is that you send out an email to that person directly, and you will see here it says thank you for submitting your question to us online, and so and so all the details are there. So this is an automation again which says that if there is a case with that particular subject that is test queue, then what you do is that you simply send out an email to that particular person, and it does, right? So that is the power of auto response rules. Now, the next topic for this part is email templates. Email templates are basically the templates or emails that you can set up, and those templates can be used again and again, right? This is the same case here. So these templates were already set up, and while creating these rules, I automatically just use these templates, right? And they were simply used to send out the emails with that particular content, right? That is the email templates part. Now, you may find a lot of information about workflow rules, cases, everything on the internet, but I can confidently say that as a Salesforce tester, these are the only things that you need to know. So if you knows these, you will be able to definitely crack the interview for sure. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that these 2 to 3 topics were clear to you. And do continue watching the part 2 of this video, wherein we'll be discussing 2 more topics, and then we'll be wrapping up with Salesforce automation as well. Thank you so much for watching, and do share your feedbacks, your improvements via comments. Thank you.